Well, here we are again today, folks. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. And the last 4 or 5 of these tidbits from the Word, we've been talking about the disciples. It was Jesus first, of course, first of all, and he was the first fruits of that which was to come that was going to live forever after death. Now, Jesus, after he went to the cross and he died, he rose from the grave, and then he walked through hell, took the keys of death and hell away from the devil. The fire did not discourage him. He crossed the great abyss that no man could cross, proving that he was God in the flesh. And as he crossed that great abyss over there to paradise, and then he took paradise, if you please, in his hand, and he came back up, and he showed himself on the earth for a little bit there. And you remember now when he came up out of the ground, he rose up. And the disciples, it said, saw the graves open and saw many of the Old Testament saints. And well, that was when he was on his way to heaven with paradise. And he stopped here on the earth for a minute because he couldn't take those people from paradise to heaven yet, because he needed to do a little work up there and shed his blood on the mercy seat. So he went up there, he shed the blood on the mercy seat of God. And then he came back right quick and snatched those guys up and took paradise to heaven. We see later on in the Bible, as we read, that paradise is in heaven. It's in the presence of God. And that's where the Old Testament saints were at the time, and that's where they are now. Now, as we have the Lord Jesus, and then as we went on in the Bible, we find out that the Lord called Andrew, and Andrew ran quickly to Peter. And then there's a switch in the Scriptures that lists Peter before Andrew. Remember that now. Now we've got Jesus, and we've got Peter, and we've got Andrew, his brother. Now remember, they were fishermen. Now let's remember that Jesus chose 7 fishermen out of 12 men. Jesus is looking for hard-working people. He's looking for people that know responsibility, that know that after that the main job is done, there's more work to be done, and that you got to continue. Now, you know, catching a fish was one thing. Getting the fish to the shore was another thing. Cleaning the fish was another thing. Skinning them, getting them ready, delivering them, doing whatever you had to do. The catching the fish was the first part. And that's what we're supposed to do. When Jesus made us fishers of men, he said, you go out there and you fish as a man, you fish them men. And after you catch them, don't just walk away and quit. Catch them men and then skin them and do the work that needs to be done. Help them. You just started the easy part is go out and lead somebody to Jesus. The hard part is bringing them through the knothole that the devil don't like. He wants to turn them around and take them the wrong way. And then we come along and we had James. He was the son of Zebedee. Remember him? Then he had a younger brother. His name was John. And John was used in the Bible to write a book. And then we had Philip, and Philip came along, and Jesus said, a man with no guile. And then we had Bartholomew, and Bartholomew was Nathaniel. And then we come along, and here comes Thomas. Now and this is what I ask this question to people all the time, and I've asked it on these discs before. And by the way, this is teaching. I'm teaching. I'm not preaching. I am teaching, and I'm teaching you what God has shown me by staying in the book and learning. And I've learned about these men. I'm going to be in heaven forever with these men. I would like to know just as much about these. These were my brothers before, way back, and they went on to heaven. These were brothers I didn't know, but they were my brothers. And I want to know them when I get to heaven. I want to be numbered among them as being an astute Christian, or a man who really followed. There's a difference between being saved and being a Christian. A lot of people now have asked the Lord to save them, and they've got in by the skin of their teeth. But as far as being a Christian, that means being Christ-like. Is it easy to be Christ-like? Yes, it is if you give yourself to the Lord and let the Lord do it. If you try to do it yourself, forget it. You can't do it. You'll never make it. Now, the New Testament tells us nothing about Thomas's background. We don't know anything about Thomas's background. We do know that his name was Didymus. Thomas or Didymus had 2 names. Do you know in those days They had two cultures they were living in right there. They had the Greek culture and the Hebrew culture. And by the way, they were in the known world, roaming world right there in that day. Went through about 5 cultures real quick. And these people actually had to be pretty intelligent because they had to know the languages of the other people. They had to know Greek and Hebrew, and they had to know different things. But there was some circumstances and occasion of his call to Jesus' ministry. And his name in by the way, in Arabic or Aramaic language and in Hebrew language means twin. So Thomas, who was Didymus, and he probably had a twin. And the Greek equivalent of Didymus, the name which was also known, he was known by, was called twin. Thomas is particularly remembered by us folks who study the Bible, who like to dwell on the bad side of everything and not the good. And the side of Thomas that we always hit on, when everybody says Thomas, they think doubter. They think doubt. And Thomas doubted, and that's what we hold. You know, it's a funny thing. The other day, somebody asked me about somebody else, and this is a man I reverence. I really reverence him. I reverence him through the years. He took a fall one time in his life, a small one. And you know what? The devil throws that fall up every time that I think of him. And really, I don't want to think of the fall. I want to think of what the man's done through his life. And we all fall. But isn't it funny how? Now let's go quickly. Thomas is remembered. All right. He'd been present during Jesus' visit to the upper room. Thomas was there when Jesus visited the upper room after the resurrection. And when the disciples later told him stated that he would not believe that Jesus raised unless he saw him. He stated, now, I'm not going to believe unless I see him. I got to see him first. And feel the wounds and made by the nails in his hands. All right. 8 days later now, Jesus appears to Thomas and the disciples. And this is what he says to Thomas. Thomas is present. When he's invited now by Jesus, and Jesus makes a statement. He said, Thomas fell on his knees. And he said, feel, cast your hand in my side and feel. Look at my nail prints and feel them. And then Thomas fell on his knees, full of sorrow for his doubt. Because he had doubted, he was full of sorrow within inside of his demeanor, his man. He said, my Lord, my God. And now he believed him. And Jesus said, you know, it's a little bit, that takes no faith at all to see me and believe. But these others, they believed before they saw me. And that was faith. All right, this incident tends to occur. The occasion shows that Thomas, he was intensely loyal. Thomas was intensely loyal, and he was also a real Bravian. He was a real brave person. When Jesus had decided to make a dangerous journey beyond the Jordan to go to help Lazarus. Now, the disciples were there, and Jesus was going to go to Lazarus. And the disciples tried to discourage him. They said, you can't go down there. You can't go that way. If you leave here, they're going to capture you and kill you. Well, what they didn't know is his time wasn't yet. But anyway, here's a guy that stepped up and stood up. But Thomas said unto them, let us also go, listen to this now, that we may die with him. Here's a man that doubted, and now he's willing to die with him. Because he sees there is a resurrection of the body coming one day. And what an eye-opener. What an eye-opener that is for you and me to see. Now, down at the end, and we only got a couple seconds, tradition says that he ended up over in India preaching again. And some of these guys ended up over in India preaching. Now time has come and gone. It's Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. Now let me tell you something. Get on WOAK.com radio station on your computer. Put it on. Listen to it. Keep it on 24 hours a day if you can. Listen to it.